The right to vote is still under attack. And that is why the Justice Department is fighting back. That is why one of the first things I did when I came into office was to double the size of the voting section of the Civil Rights Division. That is why we are challenging efforts by states and jurisdictions to implement discriminatory, burdensome, and unnecessary restrictions on access to the ballot, including those related to mail-in voting, the use of drop boxes, and voter ID requirements. That is why we are working to block the adoption of discriminatory redistricting plans that dilute the vote of black voters and other voters of color.
What's good? Welcome in. News from the INTERZONES Wednesday here for you. We got a few topics for you, of course. We'll start off with the biggest news when you woke up this morning, which was yesterday, Super Tuesday. Old Trump schools absolutely murdering it, winning 14 out of 15 states. Big enough for old Nimrata to wake up this morning and announce she's out of here. She had a whole 79 points to Trump's like 1,033. She only won Vermont yesterday, previously D.C., two Democrat strongholds that hold open primaries where Democrats self-admittedly were voting for her just to thwart Orange Man's. 83% of those respondents that voted for her said that they actually support Joe Biden for president. So the turncoat got the boot, and Trump basically already locked down the nomination. There wasn't a contest to begin with. This was strictly made up by the media and Nikki Haley's delusion. Right? So good to see. Moving on, we have liberals doing what liberals do, which is coming up with new arguments to remove your natural-born rights that are the foundation to a free society, republic, or their favorite, democracy, right? With MSNBC, Rachel Madcow talking to their legal analyst, Barbara McQuaid, calling the legal right to free speech a potential threat, to say it with me, democracies, of course, because debating ideas and, free expression is a terrible thing. You know what I'm saying? It must be stopped at all costs. If we can't control the narrative, you shouldn't hear it, right? I mean, what else are you going to say besides leftist or authoritarian and absolutely love to shut down anything that they don't agree with, be it speech, video content, songs, whatever the case is, man. They're putting warning labels on 1960s Disney movies at this fucking point. You know what I'm saying? Absolute ridiculous clown world out here. And keeping with that, you got little baby reptile, the newest member of the gang, Alex Soros, coming to buy favors or pull strings, whatever the case may be, meeting with Biden reps at the White House 2 times, just days before the old poppy reptile himself threw $350K Biden's way for his re-election campaign, and that is per campaign finance records, so that's legit, like being claimed. You see, he'll pull strings and doesn't give a shit if you know it, right? The Soroses, absolute proponents of censorship, restrictions, and destruction of freedom across the West, here paying your president, right? Absolutely no surprise. Keeping with, that good old spirit of distorting and hiding information, the Chinese government has come out and announced that all COVID-19 records in the country are to be destroyed. Right? That's one step further than countries in the West, like the UK and here in the US, who've decided to go ahead and seal their records for 75 years. Nothing says legitimacy and transparency like destroying records or sealing them to everyone involved's dead, right? Good fucking deal. But basically with the Chinese thing, they're saying it's, to prevent further generations from researching this and seeing the faults. An almighty God government, right? The thing that the left would love to emulate. They want to replace religion with the state, and you see the repercussions of that in real time. Just watch old Gigi over there in fucking Chinas, man. And moving on, you got our Senate here approving F-16 sales to the country of Turkey. Right? This being the ramifications of an earlier agreement that if they withdrew their apprehension to the admittance of Sweden into NATO, they would receive the sales here. So we're giving, absolute bloodthirsty fucks some, weapons of mass destruction, basically. And because, the admission of Sweden into NATO is a detriment to is detrimental to the defense of Ukraine's, of course, man. Absolutely, man. And as if Sweden wanted to be involved in this war that has nothing to do with them, they couldn't just go on ahead and send weapons in like fucking everybody else, right? They got to join a gang first. Just ridiculousness for your lizard overlords to continue and, gain more funding and support across the West for, unneeded wars, man. Undeclared wars and wars that, again, have nothing to do with us, just trying to keep the laundromat alive and fights old Hitler's peace Putin's, because we've always been at war with Eurasia, So, then also on that tip, so the U.S. has come out to say they're going to outsource weapons manufacturing to Australia, Japan, Poland, and India to, restock our, quote, dangerously low munitions stockpiles from sending shit to the Ukraines and Israel. And this is in direct contradiction to the Biden admin that said any weapons that we were sending had nothing to do with our stockpiles and wasn't hurting us, one bit. But of course, it's always bullshit. Always foot-to-mouth disease out this mug. And soon Australia will become one of our largest suppliers. Just like everything else in this country, we're dependent on somebody else. Great fucking job, Joe Bidens. And then moving on to the next one here in the beginning there in the intro, you got to see the slimiest of salamanders, Merrick Garland, speaking in front of course, a black crowd to tell them he's doing all he can to subvert and interfere in the 2024 elections by calling restrictions on immigration states as far as sanctuaries and whatnot, voter ID laws, and of course limiting voting. Instead of it being voting month, at minimum, we should just, get a voting week. Preferably, we should have a voting day, of course, national holiday. But if we're going to have early voting and whatnot, cut it down to a week. We can't have voting month where you just keep counting until you get, the total that you're looking for. This guy is an absolute piece of shit, just using up tax dollars, wasting money, and he's, announced that they've got the FBI involved in it, of course, the slimy ass fucking Christopher Wray, the reptile underling, it's just, henchmen out here doing the work of fucking the Bidens regime. And, it's not Joe Bidens himself. Obviously, that guy's a carcass, but it's the people behind the curtain pulling the strings of the fucking, the scarecrow, right? It's just absolute ridiculousness, states' rights. It's up to people. It's, again, much easier to impact local bills and, state reps than it is the federal Leviathan. And the federal Leviathan, of course, is trying to remove that right. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. The people that preach democracy the loudest do the most to subvert it. And this guy is no exception. As a matter of fact, he's the example. Okay? Moving on, you got old Camel Toes Harris coming out to announce they're going to use your tax dollars to pay college kids to go out and register voters, basically making you pay for an army of vote harvesters. They're basically saying that this is to get, the kids civically involved and educated. By educated, they mean they're going to have them at Democrat strongholds and whispering shit in their ear, acting as if, this is your little speech to get people to register, but it's going to be a nonstop indoctrination and mind-poisoning fucking class that they're going to be able to pass on and, tell people as they're registering them and harvesting their ballots. All right. I mean, it's constant leftists trying to find new ways to cheat. You saw the same example the other day. Supreme Court ruled 9-0 in favor of Trump. He can't be taken off the ballot. And then you saw that shitbag fucking Jamie Raskin immediately come out in leftist news like, I'm trying to revive a bill I wrote with Eric Swallowwells and the corrupt-ass Wasserman Schultz for Congress to be able to remove him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just a never-ending barrage of filth and deviance and plots and schemes, man. Right? The American system, I mean, the right quibbling little jellyfish, the left just, reptilian Decepticons. Real shit. You guys tell me what you think. Always appreciate the stop. Please like and share if you would. Smell you later.
Bitches be jealous because they can't be me. I got 10,000 views. What you got, bitch?